Michael Irvin's going to be hopping into the show in about an hour from right now. We're going to say hello to the Hall of Famer and the playmaker, who's got to be very happy his Cowboys got another one last night, right?
They look good. They look good.
Look, they're one of the small handful of teams in the NFC that actually looked like they could do something. And the 49ers are right back in that conversation, too. It was, as I'm going to say many times today, it was a comprehensive win. I thought the two best signs, Larry, were the 49ers coming out and scoring on the first two possessions of each half. I thought that Kyle Shanahan had his best day. Jimmy Garoppolo had its best day. And we're approaching the point where I think we can start maybe even worrying about this offensive line just a little less than we like to go into these games worrying about it, because you figure, all right, Colton McKivitt's not playing left tackle. This gives you Jalen Moore. What kind of problems is that going to present? It really didn't.
No, I mean, Burns beat him once where he just didn't get out of his stance. But on that long Jeff Wilson run, the longest run of the day, they ran it right behind Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore and Aaron Banks caved in the left side. I was watching the game again this morning, and Banks is got something, man. He really does. I know he didn't play at all as a rookie, but he's like the shape of a Coke machine. He's just this gigantic rectangle human being. And then Jalen Moore, is powerful as well, and they just caved in the right side of the Panther defensive line. So I think you're right. I think the Niner young offensive line, at least in this game, looked pretty good against a D-line that has Brian Burns and the big kid from Brown from Auburn's a stud. So that this Panther D-line's not bad.
The key to that entire win yesterday was just depth. The 49ers were a better football team from, their 23rd man to their 53rd man than the Carolina Panthers are from their first man to their 22nd. I mean, they really have a deeper, better football team. And that's part of the reason why Matt Rule gets fired, because he got to basically, shop for the groceries and try to prepare them, which is asking an awful lot of any coach. Like, I think Kyle Shanahan gets overwhelmed by that, which was good to see Shanahan and company come out on such script. And look, that team run blocks like they're angry at the other team, and they're starting to pass block well enough for what Shanahan wants done. Shanahan wants that ball out in under 2.5 seconds, and honestly, Jimmy Garoppolo gets the ball out like a Hall of Famer. No one's confusing Jimmy Garoppolo with a Hall of Fame quarterback, mind you, but Jimmy gets that ball out about as lickety-split and fast as Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady do. And that is what Kyle wants. He doesn't want that big shot play that takes 2 more heartbeats of pocket protection to make. He wants to get the ball out fast. He wants to get it to guys who know how to turn it upfield. And even though it wasn't a big Debo game, it was good to see Kittle involved. And Juwan Jennings. Oh, dude.
Except Ian Eagle called him speedy at one point, and the guy ran like 4.8.
Not speedy, but you don't need to be speedy when you're physically bigger than other human beings.
Right.
And he is just...
They found their recipe, Damon. Yeah. They did. They found their recipe. Garoppolo doesn't turn it over, and their defense is dominant. They're like 20-9 under Shanahan, something like that, when they don't throw a pick. And, Garoppolo came out, 2 touchdowns, threw a couple near picks, but, didn't throw any picks. They had offensive balance, and their defense is totally dominant. And if you get a pick 6, you win. They got a pick 6 last week. They won. They got a pick 6 this week. But more importantly, they're establishing their recipe for winning, which is Garoppolo doesn't F it up, and their killer defense dominates. And that is what's going to lead them to wins this year.
Dave Lombardi had a really interesting stat that he shared. Top 5 average times from snap to release so far this season. At number 5, you have Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals, about as established a young up-and-coming quarterback as you'll find in the league. At number 4, Cooper Rush, which is explaining why he has shown up and really taken the Dallas Cowboys by storm. I mean, they're in good hands right now with Cooper Rush, who is a man that came without pedigree, without an awful lot of hoopla, but he's getting the job done because he gets the ball out really fast. At number 3, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, who gets rid of the ball 2.52 seconds. And ahead of him, our first ballot Hall of Famers, Aaron Rodgers at 2.44, and Tom Brady, who's at 2.4 flat. So it might not yield the big pop plays in the passing game that everyone's looking for, because they think in order for a play to pop, that ball's got to be, in the air 20, 25 yards. And it's definitely the sexier highlight to be shown throughout the entire day. But it's the recipe that the Niners are having most success with, and they've got it again. They really do. They've got a successful recipe. And if they just please stay a little healthy between now and the end of the year, this thing could get really interesting.
Yeah.
But staying healthy, it's a weekly referendum on this team. No matter what game was played, no matter what the results were, who's going to be available next week is an ever-present question. You talk about the pick six, and that was Emmanuel Mosley's.
Shotgun for Mayfield. Pump, hooks a pass, and he tosses it to the other team, Mosley. Down the sideline, Mosley cuts it inside. All the way. Touchdown, San Francisco. And this defense continues to deliver. Pick six.
They absolutely delivered once again. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis on CBS with the call right there, but Emmanuel Mosley, unfortunately, does have a torn ACL. He will miss the rest of the year. A walk year for him, so hopefully everything goes okay, and there's a weird bounce in a good contractual direction, actually, there for the 49ers, maybe. But Nick Bosa's groin injury, and now Robbie Gould getting hurt. You need to stop asking your kicker to make kick return saving tackles.
He had to make 2 yesterday.
There is still a kickoff return special teams issue. That's why I cannot say it was the best game that the 49ers have ever played. It's the best game this year, but they still have a hole in all 3 phases. They missed the field goal when Robbie Gould had to come out. Wisniewski was nowhere even close. And then those kick returns, that's got to get better.
No question. The interesting thing on the quarterbacks holding the football, I think it's pretty clear that in the NFL you win when it's not just about making plays, it's about not making negative plays. And what are negative plays? Sacks and turnovers. If you can avoid sacks and turnovers, you got a great chance to win. So getting rid of the football quick, yeah, you're not going to go down the field very often, but so you may not make those big plays in the passing game, but you're not going to take those crushing sacks, and you're going to avoid negative plays. Sacks and turnovers go hand in hand.
We're brought to you by BMW Fairfield, now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. Over 400 Google reviews. Cannot be wrong. They're the highest rated of any BMW dealer in the Bay Area. Visit BMWFairfield.com today to book your visit. So we got a lot of football. We got another week in the books to kind of go over and recap and see what this all means now. I think maybe more than anything else, what it means is the 49ers are in sole possession of first place in the NFC West. The Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, they all lose yesterday. So again, the team that was off to a bad start, 5 weeks into it, little perspective, little distance on the bad start, and the Trey Lance goodbye injury, it ain't so bad right now. It ain't so bad.
No, they're looking good. The Rams are thin, so once you get the season rolling, their lack of depth is going to burn them, and is. They couldn't beat Dallas at home yesterday, and their offense looked bad. Their line's kind of a mess. Seattle just lost Rashad Penny for the year. I don't know if you saw that. Kenneth Walker came off the bench and had a big run, so he'll step in, but they lost their number one back. In Arizona, they missed Chandler Jones. They turned off their quarterback. They're kind of a losing organization. So, if you're a 49er fan, you got to be feeling 5 weeks in, you got to be feeling like, you know what, the division is very much the 49ers division to lose.
This team hates turf.
Oh, the turf. The no contact injury on Mosley. This is where the NFL is trying to graduate from its mom and pop roots to its billion-dollar status today. And it's like every time we get to these little things where it's like, well, it's a financial expenditure. Get rid of the turf. I know it's cheaper. So what? Your sport is minting money. You're going up. Your total revenue pie is jumping by billions of dollars every year.
Right. Remember when Roger Goodell a few years ago said that they had an annual goal of $25 billion a year? They're going to be there.
Oh,
they're going to be there.
They're shooting right on by that because of the gambling money. But I mean, this is easily the healthiest industry in America, and the players are the product. It might be time to prioritize their health.
Look, and you can't. There's no way. I don't care how your field functions. If it's a natural grass field that rolls out of the stadium and rolls back into the stadium, or just you have no roof on your stadium, so you just have a natural grass field, there's no way the maintenance of that natural grass field could ever approach the figure of $40 million. And the Panthers are totally cool eating that to fire a coach.
Right.
So get rid of all this nonsense that is anything other than a natural turf field. I don't know. This is going to sound like it doesn't have anything to do with football, but when I was a kid, Saratoga Racetrack is in upstate New York, and in Saratoga, where the horses run, they had the National Horse Racing Museum. Any really well-done museum is always worth the price of entry, right? I don't have that much of an interest in horse racing, but the museum is absolutely fascinating. It's charming. It's interesting. And I remember one of the most interesting things is they showed what the field and the turf that the horses raced on, what it looks like through the 12 different layers of the gravel, the grass, the padding, the sodding that goes underneath. It looks like these horses are just running on a dirt track to me. The amount of science underneath that dirt track would blow you away. It's layered like the rings of time in the Grand Canyon. It's amazing.
And there are flaws.
And those are just for freaking horses.
And there are flaws. I mean, like we saw a bunch of horses go down on this synthetic new surface at Santa Anita, and they eventually canceled the meet and paused everything because so many horses had these catastrophic injuries. So guess what? Anytime you got a new surface, there has to be studies done to see exactly how safe it is. But man, when you see these non-contact, I mean, the Mosley thing, he just went up. It was just the aftermath of going up in the air. He just didn't land solidly, and he probably caught his spike in the turf, and that was enough to wrench his ACL. I thought initially when I saw it, Damon, that it was an ankle because I thought it looked like his ankle kind of bent funny, but obviously there was some torque involved that tore the knee, and now his season's done. His career's altered. I mean, it's terrible, and it's not that much money to go to a grass surface. They could do it. They have the money to do it. They just need to understand the importance of it, and the players' union needs to bark a little louder.
We got some fascinating sound to get into from Steve Kerr here, talking about the sanctity of locker rooms and how he feels his has very much been violated. But first, Niners win. A couple of phone calls feels right. This is Rich in Fremont. Rich, you're on 95.7 The Game. What do you got?
What's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. It's just interesting how the season started. You guys are having conversations about, the shell game at quarterback and how, they weren't really sure, if Garoppolo was even going to be there, let alone, be a 49er. And then come to find out he becomes a backup. And then, unfortunately, for the young man, Trey Lance goes down. You don't like to see that, but it did happen. And all of a sudden, we got Garoppolo again. And I'm sorry. I got to highlight these numbers from yesterday, man. 253 yards, 2 TDs, 109.4 passer rating. I'm sorry. I was never against Garoppolo being traded. I think we should have kept him the whole time, and I think that Garoppolo should have been at the helm, and Trey Lance should have stayed out at least another year or year and a half. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Or look, what is ultimately going to be the thing that might hurt the most is maybe he should have never even been drafted to begin with, and you would have had those draft assets to build even a better team, an even deeper team than the one that Jimmy has around him right now. And look, team depth is the strength of the San Francisco 49ers. If you had to say what is this franchise's strength? Defensive line, their defensive line unit might.
They have two D-lines.
Their
starting D-lines.
Their defensive line might be the single best unit of all the units in the NFL. I mean, maybe.
Heck, if Jimmy Ward's in there, I'll take Ward, Hufanga, healthy Mosley, and Charvarius in the secondary.
It's not bad either.
Yeah.
It's not bad
Especially
either.
if you got Womack or Lenore at the nickel. I mean, they're stacked. They're stacked. And part of the whole Lance thing was about retaining that depth. That was a major part of it. They put their roster on the board with the $25 million quarterback, and then they put their roster on the board with the rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, and they saw the different guys that they could keep with the rookie quarterback, and they said, that's the route we need to go. And Jimmy had injuries. Jimmy had flaws that obviously Kyle recognized. So, but it's not just as simple as they thought Trey was this, they thought Jimmy was that. It was what kind of team can we build around Jimmy? What kind of team can we build around Trey? I think that was a huge part of the equation. But I'll also say this. I think whatever quarterback is standing in the winner's circle when this team gets Super Bowl number 6 stays. So if that's Jimmy, he stays. If that's Lance, he's here long term.
Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy, he's the guy. Whoever wins that 6th Super Bowl is going to be the guy. I really believe that.